This is Kerry Artak with Wicked Signal. Today's video was recorded Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. It covers Roku, R-O-K-U, the online streaming video service. Everybody knows about Roku by now. Before I jump into the analysis for Roku, I just want to remind you that this is a free subscription. I put out at least one video a week. I'm trying to get to almost one a day right now. There's a lot going on, so there's a lot of material to cover. I'm also a commodities analyst. I have a commodity trading advisory, so that occupies most of my time. But if you could tell your friends about this service, you go to wickedsignal.com, free subscription, fill out your first, last name, your email address, and you'll get a notification, or your friends will also get notifications every time a new video analysis is ready to view. I don't put you into some nasty email funnel, send you all kinds of advertisements or this, that, or the other thing. And I also don't sell the information. It's not handed off to any other organizations besides my own. So let's jump into Roku for right now. I've got a weekly bar chart. Everything I'm showing you is a weekly bar chart. Every bar is 1 week. This is an image of Roku going back to its initial public offering in September of 2017. It's really been a mover ever since its inception, especially beginning in early 2019 after the December low of 2630. This market just went on a tear up to the September 2019 high of 176.55, and then of course it backed off the following March. Last March, I call it the COVID low of 58.22, and since then it's been on an accelerated price trend to the upside, obviously, since then. Last week we put out the all-time high of 255.66 the week of Monday, November 2nd, and then we've obviously backed off since then. So we're filling in the parameters of last week's big move. We're in a bit of a consolidation framework right now. But looking at the chart, I think you can see decent support, channel support projected, really including all the activity from the March low. This week, this channel formation is at 189.40, the week of Monday, November 9th, and it rises 4 full weeks later, the week of December 7th, to 206.40. And just simple math, you can subtract these out, divide by 4, and you'll have the location of this. I call it a trend-defining channel bottom through November and into early December. It is trend support. It is bottom picking territory. It is an area that can absorb selling, in my opinion, through the rest of the year, possibly well into the first quarter. There's also, the low of the recent high, at least for the next couple of weeks at 196.52. So this area is meaningful support. And it symbolizes the uptrend from the March low, in my opinion, and above which, the funny thing is with this stock, like many tech stocks, and I'll consider this a tech stock to some extent, or a media stock anyway, online media, is that we are in an uncharted territory as we speak. We've never been in this high in these price valuations, and so pegging targets it can't really be based on line studies. It can be based on full wave extensions, and there's one that sort of stands out for me right now, and that is what I call the full wave rotation. Some people may call it other things, but it's very simply, you take this high from September of 2019 of 176.55 against the low that was placed last March at 58.20. The spread between those two, you add it to the high of 176.50, and that is a full 100% swing to the upside. And we're two-thirds of the way there already, 294.88. Now, 294.88 doesn't stand out as an area that you want to sell aggressively into if you're not positioned at all. In other words, I wouldn't necessarily buy puts, naked puts in that vicinity. But if I were long this stock, I may unload some at that price point, because from there the market could back off the following weeks or even months. But at this point in time, I'm just sort of clarifying what I consider to be a realistic objective in the weeks and months ahead. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago when we put out that high, the high settlement price that week was 253.36. And so just a mere weekly settlement above 253.36 should yield the 294.88 target within as little as 1 to 3 weeks, where we could put Potentially. I say potentially because I hate to sell a strong market like this. There would be no good bearish reason. At this point in time, as far as I'm concerned, this stock should be sold on weakness and not attempting to pick tops because it is in sort of this protracted runaway state, and who knows how high it may get. But I will say this, I'm willing to sell this stock on weakness, as I just said, and in fact, closing below that 189.40 channel bottom. I don't know if the market is going to do it in the next week, 2 or 3, but if it does settle below that 189.40 channel bottom, which again rises to 206.40 the first week of December, would in fact indicate a good high. I think probably not only through the rest of the year, but maybe through the first quarter, because the following, I'm going to say 3 to 5 months or so, should then, well, let's say should is a strong word in this state, I think would allow 113.60 or this extreme channel bottom that we see on the weekly chart, 113.60, and that's kind of a January average price, but I think you should allow for that. So if we close below 189.40, I wouldn't recommend, if you're holding Roku on a near to midterm basis only, in other words, on a week-by-week basis, or say through the first quarter of next year, closing below 189.40, that channel bottom is your exit sign. And I think playing the short side, if you can, buying puts or whatever the case may be, into the 113.60 region, while certainly not guaranteed we'll get down there, I think that's a good play. Now, of course, on the way down, we'd have our series of, Fibonacci retracement levels, which I don't show here. We also have the high from 2019 of 176.55. There's also a lot going on in the upper 130s. We could bottom out there on a weekly, possibly multi-week basis on the way down in stair-step fashion. But I'll just sort of underscore this one more time, that closing below the 189.40 ascending channel bottom, rising on a week-by-week basis, would, in my opinion, signal the possibility of 113.60 over the following several months. Until then, there's no reason to be short this stock. Good reason to be long the stock, especially bottom picking any downward retracements into that 189.40 region, and above which, as I say, this 294.88 full swing is expected over the coming weeks. And I think that's really all that needs to be said for this particular Roku video.